Welcome to Fake Gamer Bro. I am your fakest gamer bro, Jackie aka Jax. Pronouns they, them, and I'm here to talk about mobile games I love and love to hate. Today, we're going to be talking about Hyper Hippo games. If you're unfamiliar with the brand name, you might know the Adventure Capitalist, the Adventure Communist, and Adventure Ages. Now, I can't say Adventure Capitalist was my first foray into mobile games entirely, but it was my first idle game and definitely the first mobile game I remember having. Adventure Capitalist started out on Congregate in May of 2014, but within the year was published on iTunes and Google Play in February of 2015. It was obviously very successful, which is hilarious now that I know more about the backstory. The person who started Hyper Hippo was one of the founders of Club Penguin. What? Club Penguin. For some reason, okay, so that blows me away for multiple reasons. For one, like, I never connected Hyper Hippo to Club Penguin. Two, I always feel Club Penguin was later than it was. Like, it didn't become big until I was already in high school. So it was kind of beyond my time for that type of game, or at least like to get into a new game like that. So I can't imagine it coming before Adventure Capitalist, which to me is very foundational in my early game experience. I guess at least for like mobile games and stuff. It was probably one of the first things I was able to actually get on my phone, because, I had a phone before smartphones were a thing, so mobile games were this cool thing. I'm also late to pick up new technology, so don't at me. I'm not here to talk about the history of mobile gaming yet. Or maybe ever. Point is, it just Adventure Capitalist seems so foundational to me that the fact that Club Penguin came before it just blows my mind. But then like you go from Club Penguin to Adventure Capitalist? Like, to me it's just so completely different. Like, it's very funny. So they didn't originally want to go like to Adventure Capitalist. That was not their first go-to game. Whenever Hyper Hippo was started, they were originally going to make a new type of strategy game. It was called Mech Mice. There's actually, I didn't dive too far into Mech Mice, but I was on the Hyper Hippo SoundCloud, and there's some Mech Mice songs on there from the Mech Mice soundtrack that already got created. But that wasn't going well. It just wasn't doing what they wanted it to do, or whatever the details were. So they said, okay, company's about to go under before it really does anything. We got 6 months to make a game. They called it Progress Bar the Game. It's probably going to be a pile of shit. It sounds like a terrible idea. We don't have a lot of time, so we'll do it. And this was the prototype for Adventure Capitalist. So then, of course, it launched, and it did really well, and Congregate was really happy it did well, so they helped them, promo it some more and get it on the mobile store and help with a lot of things like that. Getting it on Steam just a couple months after, actually just the month after it was on mobile. It got on PS4 in August of 2016. I can't imagine playing it on a console. And then in November of 17, Adventure Communist came out on mobile. So they've been pretty steady with the games coming out and evolving and doing a bunch of stuff. Now, let me backtrack, and for those of you who don't know what Adventure Capitalist is, that you just heard this wonderful history for, it is an idle game, which I confuse a lot of people for some reason. Like, to me, like, an idle game. But I guess I talked to a bunch of weebs because they always, in their head, go IDOL, so, like, pop idols. But no, it's idle, like IDLE. Like, you just let it go, and you don't gotta do anything, and you just watch the numbers go up, is the bare bones. So in Adventure Capitalist, you start out with a lemonade stand, and you increase said lemonade stand. Like, you buy more lemonade stands, you buy upgrades for your lemonade stand, and then you keep buying, like, more businesses. It got way out there, so now you can go to, like, Mars. They have special events all the time. When Adventure Communist came out, it's like, so for some reason, I remember Adventure Communist basically just being a clone of Adventure Capitalist, but actually they do some different stuff with it. So instead of money being the only thing you use to buy your various like businesses and your businesses all producing money, Adventure Communist is more of a trickle down where like you start out with your potatoes, and after a certain number of potatoes and money, you can buy camps, and the camps produce potatoes, etc. So like the biggest one will produce the smaller one, and will just go, you know, communism proves trickle down economics are real, I guess. I don't know. So I'll be honest, I haven't played as much of that one, but it's pretty neat. I think I just got stuck on classic Adventure Capitalist. And then they moved on to Adventure Ages, which is it really takes after Adventure Communist a lot with the whole trickle down thing, except now your whole point is to go to different eras of human history and get artifacts from that and fix everything that you fucked up. There's a vague plot in the background that doesn't do anything. There's reasons for stuff happening. You don't have to pay attention to it. It does not. There's no story. It just exists as a setup for the game. They also have events where, like, the only two I've seen so far is you go to Egypt and you go to Japan and you do history stuff specifically related to those. I haven't seen any other events pop up, but I could just be missing them. But they're all idle games where you improve things and your numbers go up, and you improve more things and your numbers go up. It's way more addicting than it sounds. If you've never played an idle game, that might sound very boring, but trust me, it can be very addicting. Unfortunately, for Hyper Hippo games, they want your money. All mobile games want your money, for the most part. Unless you, like, buy the game right out, they 9 times out of 10 are going to have ways to give you money. A lot of times they try to leave it at, like, hey, I have ads, you can buy this thing to get rid of the ads, which is basically buying the game. But then there are games like Hyper Hippo games, which are not the worst offenders. I'll probably get into the worst offenders and get more into terrible mobile game ads and purchasing schemes and all that, but the cost to benefit ratio of buying upgrades or buying special packs, like some of the upgrades will be like speed time ahead, like 24 hours or whatever. So you get all the money or whatever resources that you had in those 24 hours, you get that immediately. Which is especially for events, that's very tempting, because events, as you might guess, are limited time. So you may only have 7 days to do this event. You're getting on the 6th day, and you're so close to reaching this milestone that will get you this big reward. If only you could just, like, have a little bit more time to do it. Well, you can buy that time. But it's just, to me, the costs are way too high for repetitive purchases like they want you to do. That said, while they have ads, all the ads are optional. You can watch ads to get, like, time boosts, like 2 times production for an hour or whatever. You can watch ads to increase rewards when you reset, because this idle game, like a lot of idle games, has it to where you reset your progress back to 0, but you have bonuses for resetting. That's one of the things that keeps it interesting. So it's not just you keep watching the numbers go bigger ad infinitum. Like, it's just like, okay, it's how fast can I get to this point the next time? I'm probably going to do a whole big rundown on idle games at some point, but I really just wanted to talk about Adventure Capitalist because this was my introduction to idle games. Which some people might find wild because there were some very classic idle games before Adventure Capitalist, but I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I lived in rural Midwest with dial-up internet, and I did not know people who were into games online, or at least not games that you couldn't find on, like, Congregate or maybe Newgrounds. But this isn't about web browser games, even though, okay, so you might think I'm cheating because this started out as a web browser game and this is a mobile game podcast, but like I said, this is very foundational for me to get into mobile games because idle games are like nine times out of 9 times out of 10. If I'm obsessed with the mobile game, it's an idle game. It gets its teeth sunk into me. So it's very important to me, and most people know this as a mobile game. From what I can tell, based on talking to the three people I know, so to me, it's much more mobile game core. Like, yes, you can play it on desktop, you can play it on Steam, you can play it on PS4, I guess, but who's doing that? Not a lot of people, or maybe a lot of people. I didn't look at their stats because this is about mobile games, but I would bet by far mobile gaming is where it's at. But I would be remiss to talk about Adventure Capitalist and not talk about the fucking theme. That theme song is in my head constantly. I cannot have played Adventure Capitalist for years, and I will get that theme song stuck in my head. I had to do a little bit of digging because they don't really have a credits page on their games that I could find or on their website that I could find, but I found their SoundCloud, and their SoundCloud has a credit for the creator of the theme song, and his name is Chris Hendricks. He made some other theme songs. He did miscellaneous music for Club Penguin and some art for Club Penguin, so he was around since the beginning. It's probably how he got on this time. I believe he also did the soundtrack for Mech Mice Tactics. I guess that's the full name of the game. I only saw it referenced as Mech Mice, but now I'm on his page. Apparently, some of his favorite compositions are on there, so I'm gonna have to listen to the fucking Mech Mice Tactics soundtrack. He has a Unity Asset Store package, because he also, like, does games, I think. From what I can tell, he's mostly a musician, but also does art and also does some game dev. And really, you need to check out his music. Even if you're not going to play Adventure Capitalist, you have to listen to the Adventure Capitalist theme song. It is the perfect background music for an idle game. I can listen to that forever, to just sit there and watch the numbers go up and occasionally press a button and make numbers go up faster. I guess I can end this with my favorite Hyper Hippo game out of the three. My favorite game is probably Adventure Ages, and I don't know if that's just the most recent or just because. So far on Adventure Ages, I have not watched an ad, I have not given any money, which is something I'm kind of a sucker for doing in games, but I kind of wanted a fresh experience of how it can be played without money going to it, just pure game. And I think I'm progressing pretty well. I haven't touched it in a little bit because I got distracted with the games I talked about last time, Magic Survival and Simplest RPG. But I still feel like I don't feel like I'm not progressing at all. Now, I will use the in game currency sometimes that you can buy for money, but I'm only using whatever I just get naturally given in the game. I'm not watching any ads to get it, I'm not paying to get it. So that's the only thing is, but to me that's part of the game is you can earn premium currency in the game and I'm using it in the game. So yes, Adventure Ages has been really fun. I also prefer Adventure Ages Twitter account because I follow the Adventure Capitalist Twitter account and I get it. You are literally a game about capitalism, but can we not have those takes, please? Can we not have takes about capitalism as though it's good? And just really, really loving that capitalism. Though, speaking of which, Adventure Ages. So, some of the upgrades you get is you get, like, people from history from various eras to, like, up your production or decrease the cost or whatever. Ayn Rand. They give me Ayn Rand in that game. Don't. What are you doing? Ayn Rand isn't good at all for anything. Ayn Rand did not need to be here. You could have chosen from so many other people, and you give me Ayn Rand? Ayn Rand? Is there a user base of your game that I'm unaware of because I don't pay attention to your game's user base that is just obsessed with Ayn Rand? I Do you like Ayn Rand? Is this no? What is this? Get it away. But I can't because it's an upgrade that I need to use to play the game better. I can't just not use the upgrade. I mean, I can, I guess, technically. I mean, I can't turn them off, but I could refuse to upgrade the upgrade. Whatever. Anyway, point is, fake capitalism fun, real capitalism bad. And, yeah, I think I'm good with, ending it there. Fuck capitalism, fuck Ayn Rand, and we'll be back next week. Not next week. I don't do this every week. We'll be back in 2 weeks, where I think I'm going to be talking about Merchant and maybe one other game similar to Merchant. We'll see. Thanks for listening. Please send me your game recommendations. I currently only have an Android, but send me your iOS recommendations. I plan on getting an iOS device relatively soon. They don't have to be good games, but they have to be games that I would have something to talk about. And games that are not $500. Unless you want to pay for me to have this game, in which case, feel free to give me $500 to play a game. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and join my Facebook group at Fake Gamer Bro. And you can join my Patreon to get these episodes a day early, and also a bunch of other bonus content for past podcasts, and higher tiers also get poems and other things. That is Jack's Yaks. And I will see you in 2 weeks.